represents the organization Soul, और इनको सुनने के बाद मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा था. मैं इनको व्यक्तिगत रूप से नहीं जानती, but I heard him conduct a workshop from where I felt that students and youngsters can learn a lot. So I'm very, very grateful to him that he heard our request and he's here. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta and Ketki ji, for joining us. And please give them a big hand and a big thank you for being here for us. Thank you.
Let me first ask every one of you, why are you here? If I can get some of you to answer, what brought you here? I know the institute told you there is a workshop, we are going to talk about mental health. But उसके बाद में आप लोग क्यों आए? Some of you? How about you? आपने क्यों डिसाइड किया आप इस वर्कशॉप में आएंगे? कुछ एक्सपेक्टेशन होगा, कुछ मिलेगा, या फिर सिर्फ अटेंडेंस लगाने आए हैं सब? Which is by the way a good reason. या फिर इसके बाद में स्नैक्स हैं तो स्नैक्स के लिए आए हैं? So in my times in engineering colleges, there were only two reasons to go to a workshop. Okay. या तो स्नैक्स मिलने होते थे, या फिर अटेंडेंस कंपल्सरी होता था. So how about you guys? Why are you here? I actually want to hear a few people because that will help me, move forward better. Yes. कुछ नया सीखने को मिलेगा. Okay. Anybody else? Emotions mixed up हो गए हैं कॉलेज आके. Okay. Perfect. Exams पास में आ रहे हैं. Okay. What else?
Nowadays mental health become a major concern.
Nowadays mental health has become a major concern. Mental health ठीक नहीं है. So then let me ask, कितने लोगों की mental health ठीक नहीं है? ठीक नहीं है. Okay. Nearly 50-60% are saying mental health ठीक नहीं है. Now let me ask, mental health ठीक नहीं है का मतलब क्या होता है? ये डिप्रेशन तो ना एक वर्ड है. If I will ask you what do you mean by depression, you probably won't be able to answer. So depression वर्ड नहीं बोलते, थोड़ा डिटेल में बताइए. Yes. Emotions बहुत mixed up है. Often breakdowns. Okay. Who else? Yeah. Who else? Excessive amount of stress in life. What else? Frustration. Frustration about everything. Pressure of studies. Sorry? Anger issues. Okay? Peer pressure. Okay? What else? Perfect. Most of the time, we don't know what to do. पता ही नहीं है कि क्या आगे करें, क्या next करें, decision क्या लें, action क्या लें. Okay, great. Anybody else? Time management. Okay? Perfect. So, first thing that I always say is, it is always late, but never too late to talk about your mental health. जब भी बात करोगे ना, तो थोड़ा सा लेट हो. एक दिन पहले करते तो शायद कुछ बेटर होगा, 2 दिन पहले करते तो और बेटर होगा. मगर कभी भी इतना लेट नहीं होता कि अब तो बात करने का फायदा ही नहीं. So it is always late, but never too late. So the fact that each one of you is here means you have made the first start. So the first part of you feeling better about your mental health, in whichever state you are in, you may be in an absolutely fine state, or you may be, sitting right next to where you will next enter into depression. Whichever state you are in, the fact that you are here, क्योंकि आज आप यहाँ पर बैठे हो, when you get out of here, आप थोड़ा सा better feel करोगे. आपने एक first step लिया है अपनी mental health के लिए. And I'm so glad to hear all of these answers, because a lot of times when I hear people talk about mental health, they first of all do not know how to distinguish between mental disorders and mental health. Okay? And I'm so glad to hear you guys talk about stress, talk about peer pressure, talk about exam pressure, talk about, don't know what to do, talk about various other levels of feeling, talk about anger. I'm so glad to see you guys do that. So let me ask a question. Have you ever worked on your mental health? How many people have worked on their mental health at some point of time? Worked on their mental health at some point of time. Remaining have never worked. Okay, perfect. So what do you guys do? जब आप बोलते हो we have worked on our mental health, what have you done? Meditation, spirituality, yoga,
So
journaling, music, dance, reading, singing, gym, exercising, traveling, sleeping. What else? Sorry? Self-introspection. Okay? Writing, journaling. Okay? What else? Anything new? Someone said crying. Who said crying? Okay? Nothing good or bad, right or wrong in that. It's just the way your mental health works. Okay? So, since so many of you have worked on your mental health, do you know of someone that needs help? Anybody here? तो ऐसा करते हैं. And of course, the right next question is, do you need help? ऐसा करते हैं. Everybody, okay, look at the person on your left. Look at the person on your right. The one in front of you and the one behind you. The reason I wanted you to do that is research says 1 in every 5 people in this world will suffer from depression at some stage of their life. 1 in every 5 people. So when you looked at these 4 people, and if you are 100% sure none of these 4 is ever going to suffer from depression, probably it's you. But no, jokes aside, you know, I have this question that I just asked you. Have you ever worked on your mental health? I have asked this question of nearly 25,000 people so far. So I'm well researched in this. 50% of people that I talk to tell me they have never done anything in their life. Mental health, कभी कुछ नहीं किया, कुछ जरूरत भी नहीं पड़ा, कभी कुछ काम भी नहीं किया. I never needed anything. Mental health पे कभी focus नहीं किया. 40 to 45% people tell me they have done something, and that something is the actions that you guys talked about. I do journaling, I do singing, I do music, I do dance, I go to the gym, I do meditation, I do spirituality, blah blah blah. I do crying, I do writing, all of these things. Action oriented interventions in mental health is what 40 to 45% people tell me that they do. 2 to 5% people tell me that they have gone to a counselor, gone to a therapist, gone to a psychiatrist, done something, some kind of an expert intervention into their mental health. So 50% people do nothing, which is interestingly the ratio here. 50% people said we do nothing. 40 to 45% people say we do something, some action, something or the other. And 2 to 5% end up going to a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, something. I have a slightly different world to bring to you guys. And I call that world as the 16-hour theory. So think about this. I'm going to make a statement. Let's do a thought experiment. You guys understand what a thought experiment is? Thought experiment का मतलब होता है मैं एक thought दूंगा, okay? Blankly, just consider वो thought true है. Just consider वो thought true है. And then evaluate करके देखो reasons that you can come up with जिससे तुम्हें लगे कि नहीं ये तो गलत है, झूठ है. सब कर सकते हैं ऐसा? So the thought experiment that I want you to do is everybody, each and every one of us, हम बोलते रहते हैं कि मेंटल वेलनेस इज कौन काम करेगा, हम कोई स्पेसिफिक एक्शन लेते हैं या बहुत लोग नहीं लेते हैं, एंड इट्स नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट और इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट और व्हाटएवर. बट वी ऑल अंडरस्टैंड मेंटल हेल्थ को लेके बहुत सारा स्टिग्मा, बहुत सारा टैबू. इट इज नॉट ओके टू टॉक अबाउट योर मेंटल हेल्थ मेनी टाइम्स. हम ये सब बोलते हैं, सब बिलीव करते हैं इसको. हाउ अबाउट आई से in this world, each and every one of you, more than 16 hours a day, रोज के 16 घंटे से ज्यादा हम में से हर एक इंसान अपनी मेंटल हेल्थ पे काम कर रहा होता है. In every action that we take in our life and in every decision that we make in our life, one of the governing factors is mental health. Think about this. You decide where you will go, what you will eat, when you will sleep, who you will meet, where will you party, whether you will attend the class or not. And I guess today तो बहुत ही interesting है ना. Everybody had a choice to make. Do I go out and I get an hour free, or do I come and attend a mental wellness का workshop? Every action that you take in your life and every decision that you make in your life, I call this the 16-hour theory, is driven by your mental health. So now, how many of you want to refute that? कितने लोग हैं जो इसको चैलेंज करना चाहेंगे कि नहीं ये तो हो नहीं सकता? This is the answer that I get almost everywhere. Some of you would look at this as in a very stunned manner. Some of you would say, हाँ कहीं back of my mind तो मुझे भी पता था कि जो मैं decision लेता हूँ, whatever I do, whatever I decide, wherever I go, every action, somewhere तो mental health से influence होता है. The problem is many times it may not be instantaneous. तो वो जो mental health से influence हो रहा है decision, it may not help your mental health for today or for tomorrow. It may help something going in the future. Education is one such great example. There are very few people, I guess 1 or 2% or 3% of students in every class that actually love to study. Okay? Others are just, thinking they are spoiling their mental health, but in actuality, they are putting investment into their future. आज थोड़ा सा पेन दे रहे हैं मेंटल हेल्थ का, जिससे कल को बहुत सारा पेन अवॉइड करना. एजुकेशन इज अ परफेक्टली गुड एग्जांपल ऑफ दैट. बट आउटसाइड ऑफ दैट, इन एवरी एक्शन, एवरी डिसीजन, you take care of your mental health. For some of you, okay, and remember this statement when you get out of here. For some of you, this statement itself, this realization itself will change a lot of what you think. अपने आप में यहां से बाहर जाके जो भी डिसीजन लोगे, जो भी एक्शन करोगे, जस्ट बैक ऑफ द माइंड में ना, कुछ लोग होंगे जिनके साथ में कुछ घंटा, कुछ होंगे जिनके साथ में 1 या 2 दिन, कुछ होंगे जिनके साथ में उससे लॉन्गर, ये कॉन्वर्सेशन चलता रहेगा. इन एवरी एक्शन एंड एवरी डिसीजन तुम सोचोगे क्या ये मेरी मेंटल हेल्थ से ड्राइव हो रहा है, और एम आई मेकिंग द राइट डिसीजन दैट इज अलाइन्ड विद माय मेंटल हेल्थ. दैट इन इटसेल्फ is extremely transformative for most people. तो हम सबसे पहले तो बोलते हैं आपकी मेंटल हेल्थ का एक पोर्शन इस पे खत्म हो जाता है कि आज के बाद में in every action and every decision you start thinking your mental health. Today your problems of anger, your problems of stress, your problems of peer pressure, your problems of everything starts from the fact that you don't realize your actions are actually aligned with your mental health in some way. और ये सर्वाइवल इंस्टिंक्ट है, ये कोई बदल नहीं सकता. दिस इज अ सर्वाइवल इंस्टिंक्ट. वॉट एवर डिसीजन यू विल टेक फ्रॉम अ प्योर एवोल्यूशन पर्सपेक्टिव विल बी अलाइन्ड टुवर्ड्स योर मेंटल हेल्थ. यू डोंट इवन नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. जैसे होता है ना, बहुत सारी इंट्यूशंस होती हैं, बहुत सारा एड्रेनलिन फ्लो होता है, बहुत सारे इंस्टेंट रिएक्शंस होते हैं जो हमें समझ नहीं आता क्यों है. Right? We meet somebody and we feel very happy. We meet somebody and we feel very sad. We meet somebody and we just get, very angry. समझ नहीं आता क्यों. उसी तरीके से in mental health, every decision, every action, समझ आए ना आया, but it is aligned fully to your mental health in what you need to be doing on an ongoing basis. तो सबसे पहले यहां पर रह के इसके आगे चल के बात करें. अब प्रॉब्लम ये है, ये तो ठीक है, एवरी एक्शन एवरी डिसीजन इज अलाइन्ड, बट व्हाई डू वी नॉट यूज इट? राइट? इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन, राइट? सम ऑफ यू आर 16 17 18 इयर्स ओल्ड. 16 तो शायद कोई नहीं होगा, बट सम ऑफ यू आर 17 18 19 इयर्स ओल्ड. सम ऑफ यू आर probably much older, and the faculty here is much older. So why do we not?
Under 16, all of us.
So why do we not use this knowledge? In our research, people don't do this because they don't have, number one, the vocabulary of mental health, number two, the tools of mental health, and number three, a framework around it. ना तो आपके पास में मेंटल वेलनेस की भाषा है, ना ही आपके पास में वो टूल्स या वो औजार हैं जिससे आप मेंटल हेल्थ का सपोर्ट ले सकें, और ना ही आपके पास में उसके लिए बना हुआ कोई ढांचा है जिसके अंदर आप काम करके अपना मेंटल हेल्थ सपोर्ट ले सकें. This is what I started doing a few years back. Okay. So let me give you a little introduction about myself then, because I think it will help. I don't come from a mental wellness background, neither academically nor do I have a personal story to give people. बहुत लोगों का स्टोरी होता है ना, I went through trauma, my brother, my sister, my cousin, my friend, whatever, someone in my family had this problem, whatever. I don't have any such story, and I don't come from an academic mental health background. I come from a digital marketing background. I used to run a digital marketing agency for a better part of the last 20 years. 2-3 years back, I saw lives change. Okay, my staff, so people that work for me, 50 to 60% of those people are under the age of 25. So, people like you, or probably people like you a year or 2 years from now. That is majority of people that I work with. And I saw literally a switch flip. Something changed in people's life. It wasn't COVID. It could have been caused by COVID, but it wasn't COVID. It wasn't the pandemic. And more I looked at it, more it seemed like what has happened is mental health. What has happened is our lives have changed. Whether those lives have changed because there is more stress in our life, because there is more fear in our life, or because there is more uncertainty in our life, or because there is more loneliness in our life. COVID is perhaps the first time, probably the first time in each of your lives. Okay? Some of the older ones, much older ones may have seen some wars and some other conflicts and something else. But in each one of your life, COVID was the first time when you probably understood the meaning of uncertainty and fear. When you probably understood the meaning of loneliness. When you probably understood that at some point of time, in some obscure situation, in some extreme situation somewhere, you will need to stand alone. सबसे पहली बारी शायद आप लोगों की जिंदगी में आपको पता चला होगा कि fear, uncertainty, loneliness and एक अकेले खड़े होकर कुछ डील करना लाइफ में कभी आ सकता है. अपने आप में ये इमोशन, ये फीलिंग सबकी जिंदगी बदल के चला गया. And that's not true just for you. आपने शायद पहली बार ही फेस किया, but even those that faced it for the 5th, 6th or the 10th or the 100th time, उनकी भी this changed everybody's life. वो जो increased amount of stress है हमारी लाइफ में, which is simply caused by fear, uncertainty and loneliness. हम सब के लिए जरूरत है कि हम somehow somewhere उस पे कुछ इंटरवेंशन कर सकें, उस पे कुछ काम कर सकें. That in some ways is my life's mission. I want to make sure I provide a platform to everyone to be able to do that. And the more I looked into it, it seemed very simple. मेरे को दो बेसिक चीजें दिखी. सबसे पहला बेसिक दिखा, people keep talking about mental health in very obscure terms. मेरे को for the life of me, while I have been working in mental wellness for last many years, for the life of me, I can't define what mindfulness is. I know what mindfulness is. Let me not say I don't. But I can't define what mindfulness is. I don't think I can define it, to people that haven't driven or haven't worked on mindfulness for a very long time. I looked at mental wellness and I said, mental wellness तो 5 चीजों का combination है. 5 basic words that everybody will understand. हम अपनी लाइफ में 3 वर्ड्स कम करने के लिए काम करते हैं. 3 वर्ड्स. सबसे पहला होता है सैडनेस, मतलब दुख। दूसरा होता है लोनलीनेस, मतलब अकेलापन। तीसरा होता है स्ट्रेस, मतलब तनाव। Everything that we do in our life is to reduce. Remember, I am using the word reduce, not using the word remove. Reduce sadness, loneliness, stress. और हम अपनी लाइफ में काम करते हैं दो चीजें बढ़ाने का, सिर्फ दो चीजें, हैप्पीनेस एंड पीस ऑफ माइंड। That's it. For whatever 100, and I will show you a chart where we will talk about emotions, and I will ask each one of you for what emotion you are feeling right now. But for all of that, मेरे पास में ये 5 वर्ड है। तो सबसे पहला मेरा रियलाइजेशन हुआ कि ये 5 वर्ड लोगों को पता होने चाहिए, and people should know how to relate to that in the context of 16-hour theory. Second, mental health का प्रॉब्लम करंट वर्ल्ड में काउंसलिंग और थेरेपी से सॉल्व नहीं किया जा सकता। Don't get me wrong, I'm not against counseling and therapy. I provide counseling and therapy to so many people. The challenge is, at the end of the day, only 2 to 5% people will actually end up going for counseling or therapy. So I'm not saying counseling and therapy is not a solution. I am saying counseling and therapy is not the solution. तो काउंसलिंग और थेरेपी एक तरीके का सॉल्यूशन है, कुछ लोगों के लिए काम करेगा, कुछ लोगों को जरूरत होगी। बट लेट मी एक्चुअली गिव यू एन एग्जांपल ऑफ माय सेल्फ। मुझे ना किसी काउंसलर के सामने बैठा दो 1 घंटे के सेशन के लिए, आई विल स्पेंड द नेक्स्ट 1 hour sometimes lying, sometimes telling the truth and figuring out can the counselor make it out or not. मैं पूरा 1 घंटा बिता दूंगा, कभी झूठ बोलूंगा, कभी सच बोलूंगा और फिगर आउट करूंगा काउंसलर मुझे पकड़ सकता है कि नहीं। एंड इट विल बी सुपर फन फॉर मी. It will be better than watching a movie. So I'm willing to pay, more than what I pay for watching a movie somewhere. But it wouldn't work for my mental health. Similarly, each one of us individually, this was my second realization. Each one of us needs a uniquely customized solution for their mental health. Mental wellness आज 8 बिलियन अलग-अलग तरीकों से काम करती है। Only because human population is 8 billion. कल अगर ये human population 10 billion पे पहुंच गई, तो mental wellness will work in 10 billion different ways. Which for me meant that mental health का solution has to be technology driven. So, can we create a structure, a system where we empower people, where we provide people with the various sets of tools and solutions that they will require to take care of their mental health. And as an organization, that is what we do. हम हर किसी को individually customized तरीके से वो tools, वो solutions, so पहले vocabulary दिया, फिर वो tools और solution दिया और इनको एक technology framework में डाल दिया so that आपको वो framework मिले. So that is how हम मदद करते हैं आप जैसे हर किसी को मेंटल हेल्थ से डील करने में. And as I said, it is very simple. Moment you learn the language, the vocabulary, moment you get empowered with the tools and solutions, and moment you can create a framework around it, it's easy. तो 5 adjectives हैं, तो सिर्फ 5 adjectives हैं: sadness, loneliness, stress, happiness and peace of mind. 3 को कम करना है, 2 को बढ़ाना है. That's it. It's as simple as that. So, let's do an activity. Can I ask each one of you? Okay, बड़ा simple सा activity करेंगे. How many of you know what box breathing is? बड़ा simple. ये box breathing is a Western term जो हमारे प्राणायाम के लिए यूज होती है. So, let's just basically simply, when I say breathe in, we hold. And then we breathe out. We will do it 3 times. All I request each one of you is please close your eyes. Gather all your thoughts, जो भी दिमाग में चल रहा है, and then close your eyes. Okay? So let's start now. Everybody close their eyes. And now, breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Second time, breathe in, hold, breathe out. Third time, a little longer, breathe in, hold, breathe out. Now simply open your eyes slowly. We're all back. Now let me ask a question. How many of you got off of these 3 breaths that you took blank? Totally blank. पहले था, एक स्ट्रेस भी था, एक कॉन्वर्सेशन चल रही थी, हेड में 5 चीजें थी, कुछ सोच रहे थे, सब कुछ हो रहा था. But you did these 3 breaths and you got out और दिमाग बिल्कुल blank. टोटल कोई स्ट्रेस नहीं था. इनफैक्ट एक बारी तो आंखें खुलने के बाद सोचना पड़ा, so what do I need, where am I, what happened, what do I need to think? This in some ways is how easy it can be to take care of your mental health. I'm not suggesting every one of you go and start doing breathing exercises and life will be fine. But I'm telling you, this can be how easy it is for you to take the first step and start thinking about your mental health. So let's play another game now. You guys can see this chart? Is it possible to turn off the lights? यहां की लाइट्स डिम कर सकते हैं स्टेज की? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now some of you can read this chart. So let me tell you what this chart is. This chart is a chart of emotions. So it says I am feeling and then 6 basic emotions: love, fear, anger, sadness, surprise, joy. And then that fear, these 6 emotions have 50 different emotions associated with them. So what I want you to do is whatever emotion comes to your mind in what you are feeling right now, just say the emotion. Just say the emotion. So, anyone wants to start? Just whatever emotion comes to your mind. It could be anger, it could be fear, it could be joy, it could be frustrated. Whatever comes to your mind. Joy. Anybody else? It could be surprise. It could be anything. Anyone else? Cheerful.
Confused.
Sorry?
Confused.
Confused. Okay.
Frustrated.
Tired. Neutral. Annoyed. Sorry? Playful. Okay. Playful. Lazy. Overthinking, frustrated. Exhausted. So, first thing in mental health, once you start looking at the vocabulary, the tools and the framework, the first thing that you need to do, that you need to remember, that should become a part of you, is every emotion that you ever have belongs to you. Don't ever fight it. Don't ever think it is wrong. Every emotion that you ever get belongs to you. उसको own up करो. कोई भी emotion हो. The emotion could be anger, the emotion could be frustration, the emotion could be whatever. Good bad ugly. जो भी emotion है उसको own up करो. वो emotion उस situation में तुम्हारी लाइफ का पार्ट है और वो इमोशन बहुत यूनिक है. ऐसा होता है ना, 4 फ्रेंड्स इकट्ठे कहीं पर जाएंगी, एक बहुत खुश होगी, एक बहुत दुखी होगी, एक न्यूट्रल होगी और एक बहुत एग्री होगी. होता है ना, फॉर नो रीजन. सो योर इमोशन इज वेरी इंडिविजुअल टू यू. ऑलवेज 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 ओन इट अप. बहुत लोगों का प्रॉब्लम ये होता है, they are taught since childhood, and you know I'm in a women college right now, so let me make a gender bias role. Women are taught this more than men, to never feel their true emotion. एक तो मेरे को इसका मतलब ही समझ नहीं है, how do you not feel your true emotion? But it basically means to always suppress what you are feeling. The first thing that I ask you to do, okay, is own up your emotion. Whatever you are feeling, wherever you are, whenever you are, whatever else is going on, always, always, always own up that emotion. In some ways, link it to that first conversation we had about the 16-hour theory. You are feeling this emotion because you took some action or you made some decision. That action or decision was influenced by your mental health. So whatever emotion you are feeling right now is fine. It's part of you. It's part of your life. It's part of where you need to be right now. So just always, always own it up. So what is the emotion? बहुत सारे लोगों का ना कंफ्यूजन ये होता है कि इमोशन तो एक इंटेलेक्चुअल कन्वर्सेशन है, एक दिमाग की उपज है. इन रियलिटी, in absolute reality, emotion is what drives your physiological experiences, and emotion is what drives your life experiences. It is what drives your behavior. It is what drives everything that goes around. So, specifically when I go to educational institutes, I always love using this example. Assuming you are a student and you want to increase your subjects, your grades in one particular subject by 5%. And assuming you determine that you need to do X hours more of work to increase your grades by 5% in one particular subject. मतलब आपको एक सब्जेक्ट में अपने ग्रेड 5% बढ़ाने हैं और आप फिगर आउट करते हो उसके लिए X आवर्स का कंट्रीब्यूशन करना पड़ेगा उस सब्जेक्ट में पढ़ाई करने के लिए. My personal commitment to you is you spend that X number of hours on your mental health. वो X number of hours अपनी mental wellness पे लगाओ. Your grades in all subjects will increase by 5%. Just that X hours investment जो आपको चाहिए थी to increase your grades by 5% in one subject, if you spend that in your mental health, you will increase your grades by 5% in all subjects. Not just that, you will increase your performance in all areas of your life by 5%. That is how powerful mental wellness can be. And I want you all to think about this. क्या ऐसा possible है that I create an environment जहां आप पढ़ाई में मन ज्यादा लगा सको या किसी खेल में और in whatever other activity, and you will perform 20%, 30% better? Right? If I just change certain, I'm not changing what you have studied. I'm not changing your teachers. I'm not changing your basic intellect. I'm not changing anything. I am saying, अगर मैं आपका mental wellness का framework change कर दूं, will you be able to perform at 20%, 30% higher than where you were right now? For most of you, that is true. That's the power of mental health. So, mental health, when I started working on mental health, it wasn't to help with people who suffer from disorders. Let me not say it wasn't. It wasn't only to help with people that suffer from disorder. It wasn't only to help with people that are on their path or are already in depression. It wasn't only to help them. It was to work with each one of you here. The most healthy ones and the ones needing most support. Work with each one of you here. And work from the framework that says, if I help you increase your happiness and peace of mind, if I help you decrease your sadness, loneliness or stress, you will be 10%, 20%, 30%, maybe in some cases multifold more effective, better performing, and be in a better state than you currently are. These are, so as I was saying, number one thing that you need to do in your emotional wellness is to just accept your emotions. More true for women than perhaps men. Men are allowed in our culture, in our society, to have a loud outburst. I remember once there was a friend, and he literally beat up his wife. And I asked him, what? How can you even do it? It's 21st, how can you even do that? And his answer was, yaar ye bole ja rahi thi, chup nahi ho rahi thi, mujhe gussa aa gaya. And his wife looked at me and said, हाँ मैं बोल तो रही थी. And I stood there and I said, are you guys really literally joking, kidding? It is that acceptable in society. So first thing, specifically as women, but I say that to even men. Because it is not like all men express their emotions and all men are emotionally very well. Okay? To everyone, first thing, own up your emotions. And then manage, recognize and understand emotions of others. सिर्फ अपने नहीं. बहुत important part होता है mental wellness का to be respectful of others' emotions. And in a little bit, we will have, Ketki come up. And I should actually have started with this, but let me say, I want to sincerely thank LENS Foundation for helping enable organizations such as me, like Solh Wellness, be able to do these workshops and activities and go out and be present to people and be able to help the youth of this country. So she will come and she will actually talk about what does it mean in a more meaningful manner to be respectful towards others. तो मैं तो बहुत selfish आदमी हूँ. मैं तो पहली चीज बोलता हूँ अपने बारे में. What is it that you need to do for mental wellness of yours? Ketki is a social worker. She will come and she will talk about others. So ये 4 components होते हैं literally emotional intelligence के. Self-awareness, so always knowing, owning up, being aware of where you are. Self-regulation, so creating some sort of a discipline where I was talking about the tool solutions and the framework. Social awareness, so being aware, being compassionate and being respectful of emotions of everybody around you. And then of course, relationship management, which by the way is a huge challenge. And you develop it by here. First thing I will talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to just be in the present. मेरे को इसके आगे समझ में नहीं आता. For me, mindfulness is simply at its core basic ability to just be in the current present. Not worry about what happened and not worried about what will happen. Just being in the present. So emptying your thoughts from yesterday and taking out whatever will be tomorrow and just being there is what we call as, or what I call as mindfulness. Optimism, empathy. And one important aspect of empathy and compassion, we are all taught to be empathetic and compassionate. But in my mission of being selfish, first thing that you need to do is to be self-compassionate and self-empathetic. If you are not self-compassionate and self-empathetic, let me assure you, you can do whatever drama, you can put up whatever act around you, but you can never be compassionate and respectful towards others. So first, start with yourself. How many of you have played this game? Never have I ever. Perfect. Okay. We will have a good version of it. So, each one of you, if you are able to do this, raise your hand. Okay, any one of these. Number 1, successfully managed my anger in a challenging situation. So some of you are able to successfully manage your anger in a challenging situation. Practice mindfulness to improve my emotional awareness. So, practice mindfulness to improve my awareness. Empathize with someone going through a tough time. Women tend to, almost have 80% answer to this. Men tend to have 30% answer to this. Very interesting. expressed my emotions in a healthy way. In a healthy way. Not express my emotions, but in a healthy way. Quickly adapted to unexpected changes without getting upset. This is one of the most difficult things to do, by the way. Adapt to unexpected changes. Next, last, easily identified and labeled my emotions. So, for those of you whose answer in these 6 was 3 or less, I mean, you do need to practice more emotional intelligence, be more emotionally aware, and get help. I'm absolutely not saying get help doesn't mean go to a psychiatrist or go to a psychologist. Some of you may want to, may need to, may help you. Absolutely do that. But figure out what is it that works in your life. So, what are these tools that I keep talking about? When we looked at the tools, we divided them in the following 4 parts. By the way, I think Principal Ma'am earlier was talking about tools, how culturally our lives were different and all that. A lot of the tools that I am talking about, that I think about, there is an ancient reference to something that we used to do earlier. And I will talk about a little bit of that as we move along. First part of the tools is what I call as self-help tools. Tools that you can use by yourself. Tools, things that you can do on your own. In our case, as a tech platform, we say tools that you can use with the platform. You can track your mood on an ongoing basis. You can perhaps even write a diary for yourself. You can do some screening and assessment tests for you to figure out what is going on. You can be more disciplined and more organized. You can start practicing various things where you need nobody's participation. I call them self-help tools. The second part of tools is what we call as community support. And really, we all need to get community support tools because we don't have community support. When I was growing up, there used to be this, joint families, nosy, picky neighbors, and that pados wali auntie jo sirf bahar khadi hoti thi sara din. However you like or dislike, they were your community support. I am not suggesting you should like them, but they were in some way, in some special in their own way. They were your community support. Your cousins, your friends, your neighbors, the ones you would hang out with. Now, think about this. How many relationships do you really have that are anything beyond transactional? वहां पर ना बहुत सारे relationships होते थे जहां पर it's not transactional, it's just there. That is what we call as community support. So on our platform, what we did was we provided ability for people to participate in various support groups. Each one of those support groups is the ability for people to accomplish something, for people to work with others. That is why the word community support. For people to connect with like-minded people. And like-minded in this case could simply be, you have anger management issues? I also have anger management issues. Here is what I do, here is what helps me, here is what might help you, here is what happened yesterday, and here is whatever. So, conversations that could be about your life in the specific area that you want to. For some of you, that conversation could be around feminism. For some of you, that conversation could be about something more intimate for yourself. For some of you, it may be about career. For some of you, it may be about the opportunities that are made available to you or not made available to you. And you can keep going on and on and on. But ability to participate in community groups, community support. The third part of the tool suite that we looked at is what we call as expert intervention. Working with an expert in some way or form. That expert could be a psychologist. That expert could be a yoga or a meditation expert. That expert could be a dance, music, travel, whatever, the performing arts expert. That expert could be a Ayurveda, homeopathy, naturopathy kind of an expert. That expert could be a motivational speaker, a spiritual guru, a religious guru, or whatever. Could be anybody. Last but not the least, pharma neuro intervention. As much as I am not in favor of pharma neuro intervention, it sometimes is an absolute must-have. To be avoided if it is possible to avoid, or to be used only when it is absolutely necessary. But it is a critical portion of mental health. कभी कभी ना सिचुएशन ऐसा होता है कि there is a chemical imbalance and it needs to be sorted out. It's almost like, a friend had high blood pressure and he said, I will self-manage it. मैं एक्सरसाइज करूंगा, मैं ये करूंगा, मैं वो करूंगा. And I said, यार एक काम करना, पहले take your medicine for a few days, bring it down to 130, 140, 125 level, and then self-manage. From 180, where he was at that point of time, it's difficult. And that is what I say in case of mental health for pharma neuro intervention. Sometimes it is an absolute must-have, so use it, but use it a little bit carefully. So, now, before I call Ketki to come and talk about her journey and talk about, how you need to be empathetic and compassionate towards others, let me kind of give you an overarching framework on this. See, we run a mental wellness platform by the name of Solh Wellness. And what we do is we provide you what we are talking about here. We are in the business of providing you the vocabulary, the tools, and the framework. And when you get access to this vocabulary, the tools, and the framework, you are on an ongoing basis able to work on your mental health. What we have also done is for every action that you take on the platform, you get what we call as psychological capital points. Basically, the intention is every time you do something for your mental health, you are getting better. From your current state, not from any neutral state or whatever other metric, from your own current state. So each one of you here today have gained some psychological capital points just by virtue of the fact that you are here. And even if you did not come to learn anything, but you have at least heard something around mental health for the last some time. So you all get psychological capital points purely just based on that. Yes, please. You have a question? So, now, before I go ahead, I will actually call Ketki, if you can please come. So, as I was telling you earlier, Ketki runs LENS Foundation, and she is somebody who is extremely interested in mental wellness journey of people, and more importantly, people helping others. So, over to you.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. So when we are talking about confessions, let me first confess that this is my first talk ever. I have never been in front of an audience. I am the person who works in the back end, do all the work. So I think first you need to applaud for yourself, everybody, because you are here. Kapil said you have taken the first step towards working towards your mental health. And today I am not here as a founder of LENS Foundation, but today I am here as a mother who has 2 teenagers with learning disabilities and ADHD. Most of you might not have heard of learning disabilities and ADHD, but they are invisible disabilities and they are neurological disorders which affects a child in many ways. So why did I found LENS Foundation is because I wanted to help parents like me and children like my children. And let me ask one question. During your school journey, how many of you felt like unnoticed, unseen, isolated? Like how many of you thought that there was this child in school who's lazy or just troublemaker, last bench में बैठता है या बैठती है, घूमती रहती है क्लास में और सुनती नहीं है, yeah? So as peers and as teachers, we have always labeled this kind of children, and we have probably never, thought the reasons beyond why. क्यों ये बच्चा ऐसा है? We like to label them and just forget about them. So today I am here just to request all of you that now that you're in college, the same students must have come in college. My son is going to college next year, and I'm so afraid because school was still in protected environment. कॉलेज में जाके उसका क्या होगा मुझे पता नहीं है, क्योंकि कॉलेज में कोई एक दूसरे का ध्यान नहीं रखते. There's a lot of bullying and there are no policies for children with special needs. So
we have a lot of support for people with special abilities, and
that's amazing to hear.
And we have is the coordinator of the
Okay.
enabling cell.
That's
And we are
amazing.
one of the colleges of this university that is rated the highest. I think
Maybe you are the only university, I guess, because I haven't heard of having the
we
policies.
are rated from the best in infrastructure for university.
That is amazing. So, खैर मेरा बेटा तो यहाँ नहीं आ सकता. Yeah. But I just want to request all of you, कि if you see a child who is feeling lonely or is sitting in a corner and is not able to talk, just include them. These are small things that all of you can do and will make that child feel included. थोड़ा सा होमवर्क में हेल्प कर दिया, नोट्स दे दिया उसको, कभी just talk. If you see somebody just sitting alone there, just talk to them, because अगर हम ये environment नहीं बनाएंगे बच्चों के लिए तो वो कभी आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे. It's not that they are not intelligent or they don't know anything. The only problem is they don't get the support they need. पर आपके स्कूल में, आपके कॉलेज में है. That's amazing. Yes. So, as students, I think you also should make a little bit of effort to include these children. This is just my 5-minute talk. Yes. Thank you.
So, with this, I want to take any questions, and I understand we are talking mental health. So, most people won't want to ask questions. So, it is fine to say one of my friends had this problem, and we can live with that. Or we will be here for a little bit even after this workshop. If anybody has anything specific that they want to discuss, they can come back later on there as well. So, let me ask, anybody has anything they want to ask?
Please feel free. बच्चे अगर आपको कुछ भी पूछना है, you don't have to be worried about anything, है ना? हम यहाँ पर इसीलिए अपना टाइम निकाल के आए कि अगर there is something जो हमें पूछना है, जो हम किसी 1-to-1 situation में शायद नहीं पूछ पाए, तो फायदा तभी है अगर कोई हमारे मन में किसी तरह का डाउट है, कोई क्वेश्चन है, कोई प्रॉब्लम है, तो पूछना है, बिकॉज पूछने वाला ही सयाना होता है बच्चे.
Anyone?
Anybody?
Yes, please. How many people have this problem? There was some trauma, there was some problem. School में कुछ episodes होंगे, कुछ चीजें होंगी, and they are not able to get over. So, probably the first answer for you is look at the number of people that went through this. The first problem that we see in such issues is the individual usually sits in their own corner and they think, मेरे साथ ही होगा. and yeah, whining. And if you actually look around, 30% of people around went through something similar. तो एक तो ना अपने आप में, और ये आई एम जोकिंगली से दिस, ह्यूमन सफरिंग का ना सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट ये होता है, इफ दैट सफरिंग इज अवर ओन एंड ओनली अवर्स, इट्स अ ह्यूज प्रॉब्लम. इफ दैट सफरिंग इज म्यूचुअल, फिर तो मतलब म्यूचुअल ना, इट्स कंट्रीब्यूटरी फॉर मेनी पीपल.
सफरिंग पार्टी है
ना बच्चे, रहना सफरिंग पार्टी.
So that's the starting point. The second point is to just open up, just share. Many times such things, they remain with us in a certain way because we never open up about them, because we never talk out about them, because we never share. And बहुत difficult होता है लाइफ में चीजें शेयर करना, because you are always worried whoever I will share something with is one, going to judge you, two, going to use it, misuse it, and three, going to trivialize it. So it is extremely difficult to share. That in itself is one of the most empowering things that you need to do, is to share what happened. Because when you will share, and sharing, if you can't share it with anybody else, I sincerely suggest just write it. Sometimes write it anonymous, write it in public platforms, but write anonymously. This is one of the things that actually we created when we started this platform, ability for people to write anonymously. When you will write, different emotions that you so far haven't explored even yourself will probably come out.
But how if the sample person is right to share with them?
Oh, anonymously share karo na. Yes, and actually let Ketki and Ritika respond to this. Ritika, by the way, is a counselor, so she can probably add a lot to value.
You have this cell. Make use of that. Because they are not going to judge you. They have made this cell specially for students. Right? So go there, talk to the counselor there, or whoever there is who is taking care of it. This facility is not available to all. It is available to you. Make use of that. Talk to your peers. Like I said, don't feel yourself to be isolated. Talk to somebody. They are also, I'm sure, not going to judge them. Everyone here, and girls especially, right? Everyone is going to be empathetic. Don't be overwhelmed. Just go talk. Talking, I think, is the first step that you can take.
Also, if I know that these things can hurt me or ये मेरे कर सकते हैं impact. तो जब मेरे को पता है वो सारी चीज आ रही है, उसको वही कैसे solve करो, ठीक है, you are doing it, but it should not affect on my mental. तो उस चीज को like boundary कैसे करना है, stop it, don't talk to this side. वो कैसे करना?
Sure. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Ritika and I happen to be one of the psychologists with Soul Wellness. And as Sir said, the first step, if I talk in very academic language, I'm sure there's some psychology faculty here, some psychology students here. There's this thing called catharsis. More often than not, everything that we go through, we have this tendency to keep it in. We have this tendency to keep it hidden for the fear of judgment, for the fear of exclusion, for the fear of it being a taboo topic. The first step that every psychologist or every expert that we go to would be that of catharsis. Because I give this one analogy to everyone that comes to me. It's that imagine a ghada. I'm sure in every Indian household you've seen this ghada, mitti ka. And if you keep filling it up, there will come one point when it will overflow. And when talking about it in terms of, let's say, disorders, let's say if I'm saying depression, the overflowing of it can be called the expression of symptoms, right? Because वो घड़ा इतना बढ़ गया है, इतना भर गया है, now the water has to come out. There will be a point where it will overflow, right? So every symptom that you display, every symptom that happens to come out after a point, it is that water which has overflowed. So unless and until you are also taking the water out with a glass, along with filling it up more, there has to be some sort of a balance where some things are coming out as and when more things are going in. So the first thing, even when you go to a session, the first thing they will ask you to do is talk. The first step is letting it all out, because unless and until you let everything out, there won't be space left to, let's say, healing to go in. Right? So the first step has to be for something to come out. And more often than not, you would find that the person in front of you is more accepting than you thought. Like, we all have these convictions of, oh, that person won't understand. Even if they have not been through what you have been through, it's more likely than not that they will have the basic empathy. They will have the basic capacity to listen. So the one thing that, in addition to this, is also to have some form of trust between humans, just for the capacity of being human. Because a lot of us, we have 20 years or 5 years or 6 years of being a psychologist, being an expert, but we have decades of experience in being human. And these aspects, the aspects of trust, the aspects of hope, the aspects, and the just the simple expectation that the other person will listen. These are qualities of being human. A lot of times they do not need expertise. More often than not, they do not need expertise. So I guess the first step is to place some form of trust in the other person. Of course, it can be anonymous, as the person right here said. It can be not anonymous. There will come a point when you would like to hide that anonymity as well, right? So, yeah, I think place trust in people. Of course, it's hard. It will take a while. And don't push yourself too hard.
Thank you.
Just I want to add something more about it, as she said very well. Many times people they have the problem of stopping the thought, as you are saying, and especially at this age. पढ़ने आप बैठे हो किताब पढ़ बहुत सारे thoughts आ रहे हैं. So best thing is सब चीजों में कैथार्सिस के लिए आपको साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाना पड़ेगा या ट्रस्ट करना है सब चीजें. इसके अलावा आप खुद भी अपने आप एक बहुत अच्छी प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो that stop thoughting, thinking on that. And now again it is very difficult that how to stop it. So, अपने आप भी आप बोले से किताब को पढ़ते हैं, just postpone the thought. You say, okay, I will entertain you this thought after some time. Let me study. I will study this paper. जो भी आपका टॉपिक है, उसके बाद हम उसके बारे में सोचेंगे. तो देखो थॉट छोड़ के चला जाता है. थॉट बिल्कुल वैसे ही काम करता है जैसे रूम है ना, रूम से कोई अंदर आ रहा है. अगर आप उसको एंटरटेन करते हैं, थॉट बार-बार आपके पास आएगा. बट अगर कोई गेस्ट आ रहा है, आप उसको एंटरटेन नहीं करते तो क्या होगा? वो थॉट चला जाएगा. So don't entertain, and especially fix the time. अगर फिर भी आपको लगता है entertain करना है, इसको टाइम को फिक्स कर दीजिए कि अच्छा इसके बाद करेंगे. तो आप देखोगे आप पढ़ लेते हो, पढ़ने के बाद तब तक हो सकता है थॉट चले जाए क्योंकि उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस तो उसकी इंटेंसिटी भी वो कम हो जाती है, तो थॉट चला जाएगा. ये बिल्कुल. और एक और बहुत अच्छा मेथड होता है कि थॉट जैसे कोई गेस्ट आया, चेयर खाली पड़ी है, जरूर बैठ जाएगा. आपका माइंड खाली है, बैठ गया. पर अगर वहां पे आप रिप्लेसमेंट ऑफ थॉट, जिसको हम कहते हैं साइकोलॉजी में, कि अगर वहां पे आपने किसी और अच्छे थॉट को बैठा दिया उस समय, तो क्या होगा? देखिएगा सीट खाली नहीं है तो अपने आप ही क्या करेगा? हॉल भरा हुआ है, वो चला जाएगा. बिल्कुल ऐसे ही थॉट्स हमारे अंदर काम करते हैं. सो नाउ यू हैव टू डिसाइड दैट हाउ मच यू हैव टू एंटरटेन दैट पर्टिकुलर थॉट एंड दैट हाउ यू हैव टू रिमूव इट एंड हाउ यू हैव टू रिप्लेस दैट पर्टिकुलर थॉट विद अ पॉजिटिव एंड गुड थॉट. ओके, थैंक यू.
So इसके अंदर मैं थोड़ा पहले पर्सनल ओपिनियन देता हूँ बिफोर आई कॉल रतिका. I have very sincerely lived my life thinking whatever I did at any point of time was the right thing at that point. I was in a relationship with someone, it was probably right at that point of time. Today it feels like a mistake. I mean, the most stupid mistake I could ever make. But at that point of time, it was part of the life that I was living. Similarly, or any other situation, anything else that you do, most regrets are, are post the incident. It was sensible at that point of time, it is not sensible now. So, this is one of the things when I was talking about own your emotions, own what you did. The decision that you made at that point of time was probably valid at that point of time. And now, now that you have moved past that, now that you have a different life, different environment, different structure, you probably think of that as a mistake.
Okay. So I think we'll go back a little bit in the presentation and talk about this thing that Sir said, which was that of emotional accountability. Right? There will always be a difficult emotion in our life that you will have to take accountability for, right? And there's this, a lot of times, let's say I'm feeling scared of something, I will blame it on the other thing, right? Oh, that happened and because of that I'm feeling scared. While there needs to be a vocabulary shift here, right? The more we use the language of you, hey, you did this and now I'm feeling that, right? It has to be changed for, okay, this happened and I am feeling that because this is why I'm scared of it. This is why what happened in me. Because more often than not, your emotions are built by your own self. Your emotions are being determined by how you are navigating a particular situation, how you are looking at a particular situation. Right? So when we talk about regrets, the first thing is that of, as Sir said, that at a particular time, that it is the human condition to make a decision that suits your needs the best at that moment. Of course, later it can come out to be a horrible mistake. It can, when you look at it in hindsight, first of all, the hindsight happens to be a big problem, right? We can look at our entire life in hindsight and it can seem like a big mistake, right? There are so many people who come to me and they're like, oh, like I look back at my life and it doesn't seem like I've done something great. It seems like that every decision that I made, one after the other, they just turned out to be so bad. But if I look at something which I did 5 years ago, when I was, let's say, 20, then I look back at it when, from a perspective of a 20-year-old Ritika, right? Did I have the means to make any better decision? Did I have the support to make a decision which might have brought a different outcome? And when I look at all of those situations, that okay, 20-year-old Ritika did not have the support that she needed, did not have the financial support that she needed, did not have whatever she didn't have. And with that, when I made that decision, for that girl, for that 20-year-old girl, it might be just the best decision that she made with the means that she had. Right? So, first of all, you have to look back at a situation from a perspective of how you were at that point of your life, right? How you were when you did what you did and what you regret now, right? So I would recommend not looking at it from hindsight, but from foresight, that from that person's perspective and not your perspective right now, right? And allow yourself some forgiveness. Allow yourself, why is it that we are so easy to forgive the other person but not ourselves? Like it's truly said that we are our harshest critics. Very true. Right? So, allow yourself some ease, allow yourself room for some mistakes. It's okay. Right?
Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, as I said, we'll be here for a little bit post this. If anybody has a question, they can go to Ritika, go to Ketki, and of course Shivani is also going to be there. So, thank you so much everyone for being a wonderful audience, for working on your mental health, and for taking the first step. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, without taking much time, on behalf of Mata Sundri College for Women, I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Kapil Gupta ji, Ms. Ketki Agarwal, and Ms. Ritika for taking us through such an elaborate understanding about mental health, offering us various tools and techniques, and I hope many of us will get in touch with your organization to avail the services provided by our platform. And thank you, Pranita ma'am, for adding on your experience and sharing it with us. Thanks to my colleagues and dear students for taking time out to attend this workshop today. Thank you. Have a nice day.